class. This is Miss Carolyn, and rather than try to record during our classes, I'm going to try making some videos in advance. We'll see how that goes. So bear with me. But today we're going to talk about some class statistics. We should have answered a survey. We'll talk about those specific numbers partly during class. But to give you some examples, some reminders, we're going to be talking about different measures of central tendency. Sounds really fancy. The ones we're going to talk about are mean, like what we usually call average, median, the middle, just like the median in the middle of the interstate, the mode, the one that happens the most, and the range, the difference between the highest number and the lowest number in a set. Now, as we go through these, I'm going to give you some more details so that you will not make some of the common mistakes that happen. So if we are first looking at this example, and in this example I see I have several numbers here: 13, 40, 43, 89, 76, 54, 32. So to find the mean, I would want to add all of these numbers together. So let's see, I have 53, 96. Can I add 96 and 89? So 185 and 76, 261, 261 and 54, 315 and 32. Right, and 32 on to 315, so that's 347, and then we divide it by the number of numbers. So there are 7 pieces of data, so we divide by 7, and then we're going to say just like to the nearest tenth, which means we're going to keep one decimal place, so 49.6 would be the mean for those numbers. The median is the middle, but it's not the middle until you put them in order. So please, nope, it's not 89. Okay, so we got to put them in order. So in this case, for those numbers, if I rearrange them in order, now I see that we have 13, 32, etc. 43 would be in the middle. So 43 would be our median. Now, instead, if there happen to have been 8 numbers, or any even number of numbers, when we try to pair them up to say who's in the middle, we would have 2 things in the middle. So the median is really what's between those 2 things. So that is why in the second example I've added an additional number. I added a 27 to the list so that there would be 8 numbers. If there are 8 numbers in our data set, then there would be 2 numbers that would be in the middle. The 40 and the 43 are both in the middle. So when that happens, we add them together and divide by 2. So basically we're finding out what's halfway between the 40 and the 43. So when you put that in the calculator and do 40 plus 43 divide by 2, you need to be sure to hit equal after you add them together. If you don't hit equal, if you have a scientific calculator, it's going to try to divide first because it knows about order of operations. And if it divides first, you're going to get a number like 60. Actually, you would get like 61.5. And obviously 61.5 is not halfway between 40 and 43. So if we add them together first, that's 83, then divide by 2, 41.5. So the mode is the number that occurs the most. So in the data sets that we've looked at so far, there would be no mode because there was no number that repeated. There can be no mode like that. There can be multiple modes if there's more than one number that happens the same amount of times, but more than once. So in this example, I have 4, 7, 7, 2, 8, 7, 4. There are 3 sevens, so 7 would be the mode. 4 is not the winner. He only happened twice. All right? And then the range, this is back to my earlier example. The range, it's really going to be easy to find the range after you've found the median, because with the median you're going to put it in order from smallest to largest. So to find the range, you're going to take that largest number, subtract the smallest number. So in this case, the range is 76. You've been in algebra class before and you kind of remember domain and range. A little bit different use of the word range. I know, in math class, but we have 2 different uses. So that's some review over finding mean, which is what we usually call average, where we add them together and divide by how many numbers there are. Median, the one in the middle, after they're put in order. Mode happens the most. And the range, your highest, subtract your lowest. So the next part of these notes are going to be from some class information. So until we have that class information, you're not going to be able to answer that. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to be going to IXL, and I've got this linked in Google Classroom, but you could type in, it's pretty simple, IXL.com. And then after you've signed in, you're going to click Learning. And we are in Algebra 1. So I'm going to scroll down to Algebra 1. Now, there are lots and lots of lessons. We will not get to all of these. All right, we will not get to all of these lessons. I believe I'm going to have to scroll across also, if I can, on my screen. The mean, median, and mode, this lesson is actually way in your bottom corner where it says KK, Statistics, and it's KK2. So you should have a link in Google Classroom that will take you to IXL, and then KK2 is the example, or is the lesson. And then, sorry, I'm not signed in, so we'll try to remind you. So if I'm finding the mean, I'm going to add them together. This one's a little tricky because you're even adding them together, including your rules for positive and negative numbers, right? So you're going to add them together and divide by how many. Whenever you're in IXL, if you get in some trouble, you can say learn with an example, and it's going to show us, like, okay, what's the mean? Oh, it's the average. Okay, so I add them all together and I divide. Okay, all right. So I can go back to practice. And then I can try this question. Everyone's going to have different questions. All right. So just be prepared for that. So that is a short lesson on central tendencies, which is your mean, median, mode, and range. Thanks.